UIC.
Freedom the people of need.
Hell yeah.
Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow out in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow out in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. I see run the road long time. GLP and PMPSL we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. The force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them a go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. Yeah, real man a road. Now bow out in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow out in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Yeah, me drop the braffin now, and then I laughing now. What them talking about? Everything cement and we not talking growth. Jamaican intellectuals are marching now. Them couldn't get the last laugh, no them laughing loud. We don't need the small talk when we talking, bro. We don't need them 5 grand, we need to part them now. Long time GLP and PMPSL we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. The force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them and go make.
Hello, everyone. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our live. Alan Scott, big up. I see you online already. All right, I am Chase Neal, the General Secretary of the UIC and the Shadow Minister of the Shadow Ministry of Education and Human Development. All right, tonight we want to talk about the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill. I recently watched a clip from the session in Parliament, and I saw where the teachers, who are the persons who will be affected the most by this bill, were not given due diligence to hear their views. So we're going to be talking about that a little, and then we will be presenting to you the UIC solution, a truly public education system that does not force itself on the stakeholders in the education system, but allows everyone the freedom to practice their craft to the best, and for students and parents to reap the best from the education system. Good night, Douglas Harper. Great to have you here. Brian Lewis, Lion. Yes, Lion, feeling great. I'm good. Oh, Brian Lewis, you're healing from Dallas, Texas. Great to have you here. And Alan, yes, I agree with you. United we stand. Education we expand. Yeah, man. That's what we'll be doing tonight. And we appreciate you too. All right. So before I give my presentation, I want you to view a clipping from the public session in Parliament where the chairman of JTA and past chairman was present also, was speaking to how this bill, the Jamaica Teaching Council bill, will affect teachers. And I want you to note the response from the Minister of Education and Youth. All right, so watch this clip and we'll get back in a second.
If we now put this bill into law today, it would in effect wipe out all the teachers we currently have with a diploma. It will wipe out all the specialist 1 the specialist too. It will wipe out all the teachers.
Mr. Smith,
some
I
numbers,
mean,
but that's the
I'm
question.
sorry, but
Yes.
when you characterize this bill as doing that, you're sending a very wrong signal to Jamaicans. You are, I mean, this is the headline that's going to be out there on this bill. You're seriously, we're having a serious debate
yes.
here, and you know that's not the intent of the bill.
Madam Chair, I'm not
But
speaking
when you telegraph that to Jamaicans and to other teachers, you know, I have to wonder, what is the message, what's the underlying message that you want teachers to get?
But, Madam Chair, whereas I
Sorry,
do...
on a point of order. Chairman, I believe the associations that come before us must be given a freedom to speak their views. We, in the end, will decide what goes in the bill, but we mustn't constrain them if they have strong views. Let it be reported here. We take it into consideration.
Member, the
Yes.
JTA is before us. They've been allowed to speak, but that does not mean that they cannot be corrected in terms of what they're saying.
But I don't know if it's
they feel that
it's
they
your
are coming
view
to
versus
say
their
but that's
view. That's
not.
not
But
a
I'm saying
correction.
that's not the intent of the bill, and this is something that they know. And to put it that way, to telegraph it that way, is to send a signal to the sector, to Jamaicans, about this bill that is not healthy. And I don't know that you could start out by saying, Mr. President, that this bill is important and far-reaching. It has the potential to transform the teaching profession. Those were your words at the beginning. Yes. But then you kind of kicked over the bucket by now saying that, you know, the intent of this bill, and if this bill is implemented, this is what it...
Madam Chair.
Sorry, on a point of order. I mean, Chairman, let us be clear. The Parliament make bills. The courts stand above us, are equal to us in interpreting those bills. We have seen, for example, the NIDS bill. We have seen, for example, the bill. The court has different views. So that while we parliamentarians may have one view, we should resist the temptation to tell our visitors, our guests, what is their view. Their view may very well find... Let me finish, please. Let me finish. Their views may well find a card with, what do you mean no, with the judges. So let me make it clear. I take offense to us trying to direct them what to say. They said that... Am I going to be allowed to finish, Chairman? Am I going to be heard?
Member,
am I going to be heard? Because I'm not going to bow to the tyranny of the majority.
I'm sorry, Member Brown.
I'm not going to bow to the tyranny of the majority.
Member Brown, in terms of the order, Member Green is next in line.
No, I'm raising
you
a
are
point
behind
of order.
Member Green.
I'm raising a point of order. That's what I'm raising, and that takes priority. So, my point of order.
Be careful with your words.
Don't tell me what to be careful with. Don't tell me what to be careful with.
I can tell you what to be careful.
You can, but I will ignore you because you are in your
Members.
So, Madam Chair, I'm making the point that we must resist the temptation to tell our guests what to say.
Can I? Nobody.
I am saying we must resist. Natalie, allow me to speak. I've allowed you that courtesy.
You will not.
What do you mean you will not? That's the problem with the tyranny of the majority. I am not bowing to the tyranny of the majority.
Member Rodriguez.
I am not bowing to the tyranny of the majority. I am not bowing to the tyranny of the majority. I am repeating what I'm saying. We must allow our members, our guests, to speak as free. What is
Member Brown, please state. Member Brown, please state your point of order.
That's what I'm doing.
Not the argument, just the point of order. What is the point of order?
By your colleagues.
What is the point of
I'm
order?
being interrupted by MP Crawford, Senator Rodriguez, and I'm saying I'm standing my ground. The JTA representative came here and they spoke in support of the bill.
What is the point of order?
That's what I'm doing. That's what
That's
I'm
not
doing.
a point of order.
I'm explaining my point of order.
No, you state the point of order.
I am explaining what is the point of order. And the point of order is that we must resist the temptation of interfering and telling our guests what to say.
All right, Member Green.
Thank you.
Chairman, Madam Chairman, I don't think I was finished, and I would respectfully ask if I be allowed so to do. Thank you. Madam Chair, I do understand your position, but I do understand that I, as a Jamaican, have a right. It's called the freedom of expression. And therefore, I intend to invoke that right. So I
But
have
you're
a
not
freedom of
allowed to call
expression, Madam
fire
Chair.
in a theater, right? You're not allowed to call fire.
Am I?
You are not allowed to call fire in a crowded theater.
I am reading, and I'm reading from the document. And I said before, and I will say again, if this bill, in its current form, is allowed to go through, definition of a teacher, as articulated in section 24, says no person shall practice as a teacher unless the person is a licensed teacher or an instructor. It says a qualification to be registered as a teacher under this act. 1, admitted to an educational teaching program recognized in the country. Successfully completed a bachelor's degree or equivalent, or a first degree plus postgraduate degree in education. If this bill, as is here, it will in effect remove the person with a teaching diploma, the person who has qualification from the VTDI, the teachers who are, and there is still a remnant, though small in number, persons with certificate in education. And this bill, if is enacted as is, would remove those persons the minute it is signed into law.
All right, so I want us to note there that the Jamaica Teachers Association is the representative body of teachers. In fact, it is made up of teachers, and the JTA represents teachers' interests. Now, if you notice in that clip there, the rep from JTA is speaking of a concern that a number of teachers, if this bill is passed, will lose their jobs. And let me read again from section 2 of the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill that the gentleman was reading from. It says, teacher means a person who, having been admitted to an educational teaching program duly recognized in the country in which the person is qualified, has successfully completed a bachelor's degree in education or its equivalent, or alternatively, a first degree with a postgraduate diploma in education, and therefore satisfies the qualifications to be registered as a teacher under the Act. All right, so let me qualify this now. There are teachers' colleges still that issue diplomas in education. So people who want to become a teacher can apply and study at teaching college for 3 years to get a teacher's diploma. You study for 3 years and you are awarded a teaching diploma. Many of the colleges now, to my knowledge, have switched to a bachelor's program where they study for 4 years instead. And that extra year will grant them a bachelor degree. However, there are still teachers in the system who, until the early 2010s, would have gone to a teacher's college that issued the teacher's diploma. What will happen if the JTC bill is passed is that these teachers who have not upgraded themselves to bachelors will be out of a job. And that is what the gentleman was speaking to. There is a significant number of teachers who have not gone to study and move up to a bachelor's level. Now, note, in order for a teacher to do that, the teacher will either ask for study leave and go to study, or study part time. And if they have successfully completed their course of study, then they may receive a part of the monies that they had spent to go to study. And it's not a given. No, no, not every teacher will be able to afford to study to get their bachelor's based on their life situation. What this bill does is discriminate against those people who, because of circumstances, are not able to upgrade themselves to a bachelor's in time for this bill to be passed. Now we see that though the JTA made this very clear, the Ministry of Education is not listening. Now we are in trouble if this is how the ministries that are that are appointed and elected to serve us behave. If they don't listen to the people they serve, then Jamaicans are in trouble. All right, before we move on to the article related to this post, let me give shout out to those who have joined us since the last. I also Nezwak Komodo, blessed evening to you, JMH. Nice to have you here. BJA22, one UIC, one Jamaica. Big up yourself too in Edmonton. Alan Scott says that bill is to show all civil servants that they are overpaid and of no value. Where is freedom of speaking? And I have a question too. Where is freedom of speech? Shouldn't the people who the bill will affect be allowed to say what their view is? They don't want to hear the truth. That is true, Douglas Harper. And Lion is always reminding us to like and share the life, please. Okay, Alan Scott, I see your play on words there. All right. In order for the nation to move forward, we must all stand with UIC. That is true, Patricia. Uh, and Omar Delgado just summarized what happened in that video there. See how Fever Williams try browbeat and gaslight the JTA man. Real lords and commoners thing. Yes, so that is what is happening. So we see in the news where the JTA would make the statement that the ministry is not listening to them. Now, what we want to present tonight is a better way of doing this. Instead of forcing teachers out of a job and forcing a bill on them that they have no say in, the UIC will present a system, a plan that will move Jamaica forward. Now, I had responded to the JTC bill in an article before. The link to the article is in the description to this live. So I'm going to go there now. And if you want to follow along with me, you may. But I'm starting near the middle of that article at the heading Public Education as a Monopoly. Now, there's an article written by Kevin Corey Knight that compared the public school system to a monopoly, like JPS has a monopoly on the energy power field. And before Digicel came in Jamaica, Lime/Flow had a monopoly. They were the only company in that field. Now, monopolies can do whatever they want to do, set any price they want for their goods and services, and pay their employees any salary that they choose. Now, Corey Knight puts forward a scenario, a parable, using a company, Amazon in this case, to illustrate his point that public education is a monopoly. The, the, those in charge of education rule totally and do what they want. Now imagine a scenario. Corinne says, since Amazon dominates online retail, imagine that the government makes them an offer. If Amazon agrees to supply citizens with free stuff to satisfy our wants and needs, then in return, Amazon will gain its revenue exclusively through tax money. So the government is, in this scenario, is saying to Amazon, we will give you money, we will pay you, and you just give the citizens stuff, free stuff. Another term of the agreement is that Amazon will not ask us what we want or allow us to individually request items, but will give us all a predetermined package of goods that the political process, in conjunction with Amazon, say we should have. So you can go on Amazon again based on this scenario and order what you want. Now will Amazon ask you what you want, but the government will tell Amazon in this case, give everybody this same package, same amount and type of things. People do have a choice. Now, do you want to opt out of this great deal? Do you want another choice? Well, not to worry, say Amazon and the government. You can choose to shop at other retailers. Just fill out a set of forms explaining why to the government and Amazon satisfaction. And recognize that your tax money still goes to Amazon. You'll just have to pay the other retailers out of your pocket. So say that you decide that you don't want Amazon's package. You want to shop at eBay. Fine. You will now have to, in this scenario, tell the government why you don't want the package, but still you have to pay for it. The tax dollar still goes there. And then you can choose not to take the package, but you still have to pay for it. But no, you need to find extra money to buy what you want from eBay or any other online retail store. Now, the gentleman goes on to say, Corey Knight says, I doubt any anti monopoly public school supporting person would accept this arrangement. People would immediately recognize the problem. Amazon would no longer have any great incentive to offer us products that satisfy our wants. The government will be forcing people to support a company they may not want to support. And while there is an illusion of choice, those who can't afford to pay twice, which means the tax to Amazon and money to other retailers, would be left out. So they have to just stay with Amazon. And if anybody wanted a job in retail, they would have only one real option to work at Amazon. I submit that this situation is exactly what our public school systems do. Maybe public schools have such a high market share because they are just so good, but I think it is more plausible that the deck is artificially stacked in their favor. Public schools are guaranteed tax funding, whereas private schools, must convince consumers to pay tuition in addition to the tax that they already pay to the public school system. So let us look at the Jamaican situation. Let us say that the Jamaican government has started to pay Bashko, or better yet, ILO, since ILO might have a wider range of items, to take care of our shopping needs. Now, ILO, which is now the government education system, does not need to worry anymore about the customers' satisfaction, which is the students and the parents and other stakeholders. Nor do they have to worry about customer service. And we're talking about the education system using ILO as a metaphor. So they don't have to worry about customer service or satisfaction. Why? Because the government and ILO, which is the public system, and the top executives will determine what the shopping needs of the customers are. And the same metaphor, in the same way, The government determines what our needs are. The government determines what parents want, what students want, without consulting us. And we have to support the system with our taxes. We have no say. The teachers who work in the system have no say. The parents have no say. And the students have no say. Now, if we decide that we do not want high-low services, slash, we do not want the government system because it does not work in our favor, we have to find a private school that will charge more for the service since they are not funded by taxpayer dollars. But still, we have to pay education tax to fund the public education system. And before that, we have to get approved to go to the private school. No, you, let me say we have an education system that is supposed to be serving us, supposed to be working in our favor, but we have no say. And if it is that we decide that we can't work with the system, we want a system that caters to our needs, we still have to pay for the system that we don't want and pay again for private school. No, isn't this robbery? And isn't that madness? But this is what we have been working with. No, this is the monopoly that we have gained from our system of governance. And this authoritarian grip on the education system has shown itself of late in the JTC, the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill. Now, according to the JTC Bill, it introduces itself as, and I'm quoting from the bill, the preamble. It says that it is an act to recognize and promote teaching as a profession, to contribute to improving the quality of teaching and learning in Jamaica by regulating the entry and standing of members of the teaching profession, to establish and maintain the registers of teachers and the role of instructors, to establish and maintain professional standards for teacher competence and practice, to regulate the professional conduct of teachers to ensure, in the public interest, that teachers are fit and proper persons to teach, and to create an enabling environment for the continuing professional development of teachers. No, that sounds good. But what is wrong with it? No, the issue is, or one of the issues is, that the bill mandates, it forces teachers to be registered with the Jamaica Teaching Council, no matter how long they have been teaching or how qualified they are. And those who do not register will be fined or jailed. Now, according to a news article published in the Jamaica Observer on Thursday, February 3, 2022, teachers who practice their craft without being licensed and registered with the Jamaica Teaching Council could find themselves facing up to $500,000 in fines or jail time. This is one of the provisions in the JTC bill, which has been a source of anxiety for the teachers' union over the years that it has been in the making. All right, so I want us to pause and think of something. To become a teacher presently, you have to be qualified in teaching. How? It is either you go to a college that has a 4-year teacher's, a bachelor in teaching or a bachelor in education, and you pass out with your degree, then you apply to a school. The board considers your resume and your application letter. You attend the interview. If you pass the interview, then you get the job and you are on probation for a year or more. Every year, you are assessed by your head of department and the principal or a vice principal or any other senior teacher. No, this is how you become a teacher. No, Other persons may attend a college that does not offer a bachelor's in education. So what they do is they go to college for 3 years, get a diploma in education, go through the same process as the person who has a bachelor's in education, the interview and so on, gets gets the job as a teacher and is on probation and assessed every year. But what obtains in the system now is that the person who has the diploma must now, as soon as possible, upgrade him or herself by going back to university for 2 years to get the bachelor's. So, according to this act, or this bill rather, um, they are trying to improve the quality of teachers in the system by saying that you must register. So if you register with the JTC and you pay your little charge and get your license, that will improve the quality of teachers. So the teaching in the college has not fully prepared the teacher to be fit. I guess that's it. The interview process has not found the best candidates for the job. The yearly evaluations as does not find the best candidates to stay in the job. That is what they're saying. So to improve the quality of teachers, you're going to give them a license that they must renew every 2 or 3 years. And if they don't, they will be fined $500,000. And that is how we improve teacher quality. That makes no sense. So I just outlined how to become a teacher in Jamaican system. Going to college for 4 or 5 years, getting a degree or the diploma, passing through the interview process, getting the job, being evaluated every year. And also, there is another level of evaluation every 3 years. The government itself evaluates all teachers, all school administration to ensure that the school is performing. So at the school local level, there is annual evaluations. And at the Ministry of Education level, they evaluate teachers every 3 years. And the JTC Act now will have us believe that in addition, they're going to bring about force on teachers this licensing thing. And if you're not licensed, then $500,000 are jail for you. Not every teacher is in agreement with this licensing. Why? There are some persons who have a problem with their information being entered in a role that can be accessed by the public. So, what according to the bill, when the teachers are licensed, let me find the space in the article I had written. But before I reach there, um, this is important. Private school teachers are not exempt. Unless you think that this applies to only public school teachers, the article further states, and I quote, the legislation covers teachers in public and private schools, as well as people who teach in approved homes or home education programs, private tutors, whether part or full time, and guidance counselors. Parents who want to homeschool their children must also seek approval from the council. The proposal is that licenses will be valid for 5 years at a time, and the authorization to teach will be restricted to 2 years at a time, with licenses eligible for renewal up to 3 months before expiration and no later than 1 month before. So if you are good at math and you want to be a private tutor in math, you have to license with the JTC in order to teach math, or you will be jailed. or charge $500,000. If you want to homeschool your child, you have to get licensed. No, this is ridiculous to me. Now, as if the government does not already overextend its reach within the current education monopoly, it now aims to criminalize teachers and private tutors who may not wish to have their information made public. The JTC Bill, when made law, aims to publish in the Gazette and in a publicly accessible online register a roll of teachers and instructors containing, in addition to some personal information on the teachers and instructors, data on their qualifications, area of specialty, and period of eligibility to teach. This is too intrusive. These people must be crazy. No, not everybody will want their business out there in the public. You just go online and say which school this person went to, how long they studied, their personal information, and all that. Not everybody wants that. So not everybody wants to sign up to the JTC, and they are given no choice. But we want to improve teacher quality. The UIC has a better way. We have an education plan that is based on 8 pillars. Now, I will briefly mention 7 of them, but my focus will be on the one that speaks to the public education system. Now, there's no doubt that the education system needs reform. However, the UIC cannot support any policy, any program, or any act that seeks to take away from anyone's right to their personal sovereignty and liberty. The UIC philosophy, after all, states it is the natural right of everyone to be free. Therefore, the only moral justification and rightful purpose of government is the protection of life, liberty, and property rights. Every individual, as far as the UIC philosophy is concerned, is sovereign, and is the every person is the only one who has right to their own life, to their own body, to their own liberty. Now, so how do we create a truly progressive and global education system with professional, fulfilled teachers and successfully healthy students? Through LEAP, and in particular through the public education system. Now, the UIC's education plan, named LEAP, which stands for Learning Enrichment Advanced Program, rests on 8 pillars, as I said. One is an Afrocentric curriculum that teaches students true African and world history and focuses on understanding self, understanding human behavior, and understanding money. Now, if our young people understand the true history of Africa, beyond slavery, looking at how even medicine and democracy sprang out of Africa before the slave trade, if they understand their own selves, their own emotions, how their body works, if they understand human behavior, how to build better relationships, and understand money, know how to make money work for them instead of them working for money, then we already would have created a society that is advanced. We'd have created people who are ready to take on the world and contribute to world development. The second pillar of our LEAP program, Learning Enrichment Advanced Program, is focusing on the core subjects that will prepare children for life. And these are math, science, civics, and communication. Well, we know that we need math for daily living. Science, and when we say science, well, I speak to that in the next pillar, but it is a cohesive look at science. how all the fields of science work together. Civics, understanding their rights and their responsibilities and how government works, the processes that run the country, and communication. Not just looking at language arts, but communication in how to communicate, facial, bodily expressions, and so forth. The next pillar of our education plan is teaching science, which I just alluded to, in a cohesive, combined manner, instead of in separate spaces. And we will add trade and technology as part of the sciences, so that our students will be able to solve real world problems. So, trade and understanding of trade is important for us to be competitive in the global space. And understanding of technology, active technology in our classrooms, will make Jamaica more of a producer and less of just a consumer. Fourthly, the fourth pillar is a youth employment program, and this one is magic, which will see youth who are not engaged in any jobs or in tertiary education, whether colleges or university, being placed in an apprenticeship program. So we will not have any idle youth on the road to find themselves in problems or to waste away their life. If youth are not in a job, or youth are not studying after high school, then they will be apprenticed to a number of fields that suits them. And while they are studying, they'll be earning. While they're being apprenticed, they'll be earning. And and for those who may not understand how the apprenticeship program works, it's that they are in the job and they observe and learn. So at the end of the period, they'll be able to carry out these jobs just as if they had gone to college or so forth. The fifth pillar of LEAP is a digital library which contains information on Jamaican history, government, economics, taxes, and all the topics and curriculum taught in the schools, so that Jamaicans are able to easily access this knowledge and self educate. So any Jamaican who was not able to go to school will be able to access this digital library and be up to par education wise, self educate. Sixth, and this will be powerful for those teachers who will be cut out by this JTC bill, who will lose their jobs because they do not have a bachelor's degree or they do not have a master's in another subject and a postgraduate diploma in education. So the sixth pillar of LEAD is scholarships, master's degree scholarships for all teachers in the system. So all teachers will be given a scholarship by the government at the master's level. And how will they repay? By working and paying their taxes. As we would have said before, the UIC does not believe in overtaxation. So we will cap income tax at 10%. So teachers will be given the scholarship, and just by teaching in the system, they're paying their 10% tax. They would have already paid the government eventually for the scholarship. So it's not free. It's work fair. You work and pay the government. Seven is a complete rollout of child nutrition, which will ensure that all our students get the best in nutrition so that they can maximize learning. All right, so with these seven pillars, already we see that we would have already improved the education system without forcing anything on anybody. So the subjects that are being taught would work toward making our children competitive on the global scale. When they have passed through high school and have gone on to the world of work, they would be prepared to make themselves and their community a better place. The teachers themselves would be empowered by getting a master's, making them well, improving their ability to earn. So if they choose, for example, to move to another field of work, they would have already been qualified at a certain level. Also, we talk about the youth employment program, which will take away some of the crime off our hands. Also, will improve our youth's self self actualization, their confidence, because they are actually doing something productive. Now, we're going to be focusing on this aspect of LEAP, the truly public education system. Now, what this means is that the community will own and operate the school, and people will be able to have a say in school because schools become owned by the community, and people are now shareholders, actual shareholders in the education system, where schools will now cater to choice. We see in past years where children are being turned away for here. We can have schools for the Rastas. We can have schools for the Muslims. We can have school for Hindus. We can have school for people who just want to do sports. We can have sports for people, schools for people who want to focus on creating, on technology, on metal work. So by us owning our schools, we can determine what sort of education program, guided by the government, of course, guided by the LEAP program and the curriculum that will be provided. Schools can have their own focus in they will be what services they will be providing to the people, and the people in turn will be able to participate in the education system. And a beautiful part of this public education system is that those students who cannot afford to pay for education will be paid for by the government. In another live, I hope to be joined by the UIC Education Committee to break down how this will actually be more affordable than what exists now. Imagine, when we say a public education system, that means we're going to cut out that this free education. And it's not really free because it's costing us. We will return to school fees with the condition that those who cannot pay will be paid for by the government. But you will see when we finally have that live, how it is that although you are paying for your education, you actually pay less than before. But that's for another live. We're going to be looking at this public education system. So, what does this look like? What does a true public education system look like? We have been used to the current government dictated system for so long that we see it as normal and ideal, despite it robbing us of any real choice. However, under UIC's education plan, LEAP, the existing government owned and the government run public education system will be transformed to become truly public as we create a social education enterprise, SEEC. All existing government owned bodies in the education industry will be converted into a social enterprise truly owned by Jamaicans, where the Jamaican public will be offered full ownership and benefits in these enterprises. Now, members of the public will be free to identify land for the purpose of building more schools in Jamaica. Jamaican citizens who become owners of the social education enterprise can engage in the development of more public schools should they choose. Now, under LEAP, how does someone become eligible to become an owner or a shareholder in this social enterprise? There are some requirements that they must fulfill. One, any potential owner must be a Jamaican citizen, a descendant from pre-independence Jamaicans, and all ages. Once you're an adult, is eligible. Two, all potential owners must enroll in a financial literacy and governance education program. Now, this program will last for a maximum of 6 months. Students are required to complete a project within 6 months of completing the course in order to maintain ownership of their shares. So we have students too who will also be owners of this system. So the adults will be able to own shares in education, and so can the students. The adults must, well, everyone must enroll in the program, the financial literacy and the governance education program. You must know how to run a school and how to govern a school. So we will facilitate that training. And once you are able to complete it successfully in the 6 months, then you have fulfilled the requirement to be an owner in this system. And for students now to maintain their ownership, they must complete a project within 6 months of high school. A percentage of ownership and the benefits of this system will be strictly dedicated to Jamaican descendants of Jamaican slaves, those persons who born here are born of um, Jamaicans born here. Now, as I said before, under such a system, we may have a variety of schools. For example, as we said, Rasta schools for the Rastas, Muslim schools for those of Islam faith, agriculture schools for those who want to learn agriculture, language schools, sports schools, schools in all sorts of disciplines and which cater to all walks of life. As long as they teach the basic necessary core subjects and are approved as safe and beneficial for students by the Ministry of Education, then they will be allowed to operate. Now, under such a system, our students will be facilitated to become their best selves. Now, Albert Einstein said something like everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Now, we have this practice in the education system to call children dunce. There is really nobody who is dunce. Everybody is intelligent in his or her own way. In fact, there is a theory of intelligences that shows the different kinds of intelligence. Some persons are intelligent numerically, they can work out maths and sums. That's not me. I don't have that intelligence at all. I can't do maths in my head, I have to write it down. But some persons are intelligent that way. Because I don't have um, mathematical intelligence, does that mean that I am dunce? No. Some persons are intelligent um, at a literacy level or a language level. They're good with languages. They're good with expressing themselves. But can we say that a person who is not good at expressing themselves through words is dunce? No. There are persons who are intelligent, they call kinesthetically. They're good with movements, with dancing. We know a lot of dancers here in Jamaica who may not be so intelligent when it comes to language or math, but they are very intelligent when it comes to how they move, gymnastics, dancing, and so forth. That's a form of intelligence. There are persons who are intelligent spatially. They know how to arrange a room. For the life of me, I can't arrange anything like that. They know how to find directions. I don't find directions so easily. But there are persons who are intelligent that way. They know how to move and organize things in a space, or to instinctively find a place with minimal clues. So there are persons who are good with understanding their own self, intrapersonal intelligence, and there are those who are intelligent with understanding other people and why they do what they do. So there are at least 8 or 9, depending on which theorist you ask, different intelligences. Now, if we have schools that cater to different modalities of learning, that cater to different subjects, we are better able now to cater to a maximum number of intelligences so that we will not be one of those people who judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. So by this public education system where Jamaicans are shareholders, we allow Jamaicans, we allow our students to develop their own intelligences and to develop their own selves so they can better contribute to their world. The Ministry of Education and Youth motto is every child can learn and every child must learn if only they act really, really um, brought this into being and lived up to their motto. Now, in this system of education, what is the role of government? On the LEAP, the role of government would be limited to interacting with schools to assist in the development of courses, not telling them what they're going to be teaching, but interacting, collaborating with the schools. Of course, the government would have experts and so forth, but the experts must listen to those in the on the ground who are doing the work and collaborate with them to develop the courses. Another role of government in this system is to ensure that each school has an open and easy line of engagement with officials from the Ministry of Health. It Those who work at the high level of the Ministry of Education can speak to the frustration when they enter the schools and because of some other official from the Ministry of Health, they cannot get access to a certain place or do what they need to do, and there is red tape in the system. We plan to eliminate that so that there is open line for communication engagement um, at all levels. The government will also take up an advisory role to advise schools and to regulate for all the minimum requirements that are arrived at. The government will ensure that the schools live up to them. The government also will take on the role of requiring schools, well, this is a restating, to have a minimum expectation for students in terms of the advanced leap program when they graduate. No, the advanced leap program would be subjects in addition to the basic subjects that they will learn. So if a school wants to go outside of the regular approved courses, then they may, but then they must set a minimum expectation, and the government will work with them in that. Advising on a minimum teacher expectation and productivity is another role of government under our proposed system. Receiving and reviewing the details on teachers, such as the education experience and performance, as well as school performance metrics. We don't want to be putting people in an uncomfortable position by putting their business in the public. The government will review, work with the schools on the teachers' qualifications and suitability. And the final role of government is to utilize the workfare program using the 10% GCT, as was mentioned before, to allow students of adults who cannot afford education to be enrolled in a school at no cost. How this works is the government pays a full fee, even up to the doctorate level of students who demonstrate the ability and the willingness to pursue further education. So long as the student has the ability, the government will provide totally in full if the parents cannot afford. So long as the parents, this is workfare, not welfare, are working and pay 10% GCT from their salary. For parents who are not able to work, then the system will provide for them. Now, this is a system that Jamaica needs to modernize education and build our teachers, our students, and our country. Not a monopoly where the government does not listen to anybody and say, you must do this. But it must be a partnership for all stakeholders. This is a system that the UIC puts forward for the Jamaican people. All right, so we're going through the comments now. JMH says, I like how you tell the people the truth, unlike some who make fake promises. Yes, and we welcome you to hold us to our word. In fact, we'll be working with you, um, all Jamaicans to effect these plans. Lady Williams, looking forward to a new Jamaica, UIC, or hope for change. Yes, Lady, I endorse that. Let us all get on board, people. Again, like and share so that other persons can get access to this. Adrian Enriquez, I haven't seen Joseph Patterson in a while. I take it that Mr. Neil is no. Mr. Neil is not in charge of the UIC, Adrian. Mr. Neil is the general secretary. So I am in charge of communications and operations in the UIC, but I am not in charge of the UIC. I am the General Secretary and I am the Shadow Minister of Education and Human Development, which means that I follow closely the Ministries of Education and Youth, the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Ministry of Labor, Social Security, and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. I am also a parish manager for St. Mary, but I am not in charge of the UIC. Mr. Patterson is working, and Mr. Patterson is alive and well. In fact, if you look at UIC channel, you will see a live schedule for him for next week. But we are giving other persons a chance to show themselves and let the people be aware of who the UIC members are. Or Alan Scott says a first class civic lesson, second class translation of Bob Marley music. All right. I'm not sure what you mean there, Alan. So maybe you could explain. All right. Fever Williams is Contra Revolution. I would like to believe you. I would like to endorse that to Alan Scott. Neswork says just remember that um, the school are bought by Rome and the churches in the world corporate. Well, we do know that there is something is going on the global scale, and things are not as as simple as most of us take it. There is some plan afoot. Recently, one of Jamaica's well celebrated doctors, Dr. Abrams, was speaking about the world refusal of ivermectin when so many studies have shown that ivermectin was effective in totally getting rid of the so-called pandemic, and yet it was shut down last year and the year before. So there is some global plan afoot. So we know that the countries and their rulers are in cahoots with the big corporate persons to plan to rule us and so forth. So now a teacher turned hotel contract worker, or aka national slave. Yes, that is the effect of the JTC bill. Highway robbery, Douglas Harper. Exactly. All right, so we have presented the UIC solution to education. To go over, we have looked at the JTC bill. We have said that we have seen where the government is not listening to the shareholders in education, namely the teachers themselves. If we go on the PBC channel, we on YouTube, we see also where the youth were not engaged. If we look at the public committees on the GTC bill, the youth were not engaged either. The students who are part of the education system were not engaged in the deliberation of this bill. So they're not listening to the teachers, and the student bodies are not engaged in it. That's not good enough. Now, many teachers will lose their jobs and people will be losing their rights if this bill is passed. And we propose a different system. We propose our education plan that one speaks to the Afrocentric curriculum that teaches our students to understand themselves, understand how people behave and why they do it, understand how to make money work for them so they don't have to be dependent on a government or a corporation that wants to enslave them. They can make their money and they understand how to invest and so forth. We look at the teaching of core subjects, the subjects that are important, the math, the science, the civics, the communication to take them forward in life. Um, of course, we said that other subjects can be added to that, but the core subjects, that's what we focus on. Sciences will be taught in a manner that will make them more understandable how they relate to life, or each of them, physics, biology, chemistry, all of them are combined and related. But we add technology and trade. We looked at the youth education employment program, rather the youth employment program, which will see youths apprenticed in a field of employment that and allow them to empower themselves. So we have no idle youth. We look at a digital library that will ensure that even if you're not in school, you can educate yourself. Teacher education, our teachers will receive a scholarships at the highest level so that they can better perform and they can better empower themselves and receive salaries that are in line with their qualification. And the best part about is government pays for that and the teacher pays back for it over time. We looked at child nutrition, all our children getting adequate nutrition so that they can learn. And again, the public education system, where we, the people, own our schools, we, the people, participate in the education process. We are empowered to govern, we are empowered to manage the schools so that we make the best decisions for the education sector. People, fellow Jamaicans, we need to take back our country, and education is the way to do it. We must ensure that our education makes our citizens best first class citizens. And we don't see how that is possible under the colonial system that exists now. So I implore us all to like this video so that YouTube algorithms can bring it to more persons. Share to all our social media contacts. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. And for those who are able to, donate as much as possible so that we are able to bring these plans into fruition so that we can empower our candidates at the division level, at the MP constituency level, to go out and win for Jamaica, so that we can effect these plans and redeem Jamaica and bring a true republic where everybody is sovereign and no man, no government can override your own personal freedom. But instead, government's role will be to facilitate our development to make Jamaica the best it can be and all Jamaicans the best that they can be. All right, everyone, this is where I end. Have yourselves a good night. See you again on our next show. Walk good, sleep good wherever you are. One Jamaica.